Hello flower friends! Do you think that floral tape is just for wrapping bouquets? Think again. In today's video, I'm going to teach you 7 techniques that all the pro florists use to use floral tape in their designs. My name's Ellen Frost. I'm building a community of flower nerds online by sharing knowledge and creating connections. Subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link is in the description. So floral tape is one of the tools that I use the most in my shop, and it is the thing that can make or break a design. There's 2 main types. This is often referred to as floral tape or stem tape. This has a papery feel. The other one is called waterproof tape. This has a more rubbery, sort of plasticky feel. So floral tape is the tape that I use the most. Like I said, it has a papery feel, and if you have never used it before, you can see it doesn't really feel very sticky. It only sticks when you pull it. It has a resin inside of it, and it allows the tape to stick to itself. So once you start to pull on that tape, that's when it starts to stick to itself, and you don't need any other adhesive. This comes in many different colors. I usually try to use green since it matches the stems, but it comes in gray, brown. It also comes in white, which I do not love, but I like this size. I prefer to use the 1 inch for bouquet wrapping. This gives me a lot of security in my stems. I know that some people do like to use the thinner one. I usually use this for boutonniere wrapping or corsage wrapping, but you can use either. Waterproof tape, unlike the stem tape, is very sticky. It's a very sticky back, and even the outside is sort of plasticky or rubbery. I mean, it is waterproof, so it's designed to let water just roll off of it. It's not going to take in any water. You absolutely can use this for bouquet wrapping as well, but there's other uses for it that I think are a better fit. So the first way that I use floral tape is for wrapping bouquets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the pinch point. This is sort of where I want the bouquet to be wrapped. And then I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to place it there, and I'm going to hold it with my index finger. That's just going to hold it in place. And I'm going to start to turn my bouquet, and as I'm turning, I'm pulling on the tape. Because like I said, it doesn't work unless you pull it tight and you have that resin get activated. So I'm turning my bouquet, and I'm using my thumb, you can see my thumb here, as the way to hold the tape in place. And I'm just going to turn my bouquet, and you can make this as thin or as thick as you'd like. My stems are nice and secure, and they don't feel sticky at all. They feel the tape feels pretty papery. This is the most common way to use floral tape. The next way that I like to use floral tape is if I have a weak stemmed flower. So you can see these cosmos, they're really cute, but their stems are very weak. You can see that they bend really easily, and they're not standing upright at all. You may want that in the look of your design, but if you want to strengthen this so it doesn't break in your design, floral tape is the way to go. So I'll just rip off a small piece, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape the stem just to give it some extra support. So I'm going to wrap it just the way I did my bouquet. I'm going to start here at the top, and I'm going to turn and pull my tape. So using the green is the best option for this because it will blend in more with the stem. And you can use it as long as you want on the stem to make your stem stiffer and stronger. So I'm just going to cut it here. And now you can see it's standing up a little more upright, and it's not at risk of breaking. The next way I like to use floral tape is to extend the stem of a short flower. So a lot of times I will either get short stems from our growers, or I might have side shoots that I've cut off a larger branch, and I'd like to use these, but they're a little too short. So what I do is I use a piece of stem wire. So this is just a light gauge wire. They call it stem wire. And I'm going to put it right next to my stem. So you can see here, that's going to give me a nice long extended stem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my floral tape to tape this wire in place and extend the stem. So same way, I'm going to just hold it, twist and pull using my thumb to guide the tape down the stem. So now I've taken what could have been thrown in the trash, a little short piece, and I've added a nice long stem to it. And that's going to allow me to use it in a taller bouquet. For this trick, we're going to use the waterproof tape instead of the floral tape. And what I often use this waterproof tape for is securing my mechanics inside a shallow vase. So if you're unfamiliar, a mechanic is just a tool that you use to keep flowers in place. We use lots of different mechanics here in my shop. The most common one I use is chicken wire. And I'm going to create a little armature for my vase. I call it the chicken wire burrito. So I'm going to secure it into first a little bit of a tube. You can see here I'm just using the edges. I've got my tube. And then I'm going to fold my ends in so that my chicken wire fits inside of this vase. And what the chicken wire is going to do in this vase is allow me to keep my stems in place. So I want to make sure that my chicken wire doesn't move, so I'm going to use some waterproof tape to keep it in place. And you can see I've got a little bit of a lip there on my tape. I'm going to cover that up with my flowers or foliage, and if anything is showing at the end of my design, I'll go back and just trim it a little bit so that we can't see it at all. And the great thing is, because this is waterproof, you're going to be able to splash water on it when you're putting your stems in, and it's going to still stay in place. I also use the waterproof tape to actually create a mechanic when I don't want to use a mechanic inside the vase because I don't want it to be seen. This is especially useful when you're using a clear glass vase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the waterproof tape to make a grid on the top of my vase. So you can see I started it here. These openings are about 1 inch wide. That's about where I want to have the spacing. You could make them smaller. We could put one more piece here. All right, now if you're using heavy stems in a vase like this, I like to go back and reinforce the edges by taking a piece of my waterproof tape and just going right around the edge of my vase, holding these edges down. That's just going to give some extra support for your mechanic. What the waterproof tape grid allows you to do is use a short, wide vase and hold your flowers in place. So you can see that if I had no mechanic, my flowers are not able to stand upright or really even be placed where I want them to be placed. They just fall to the side. There's nothing holding them in place. You might want to make smaller holes in your grid. And you can see what that allows you to do. Now you can have these single stems standing in place with something to lean on as the mechanic. Both of my floral tapes are critical, especially on site when I see something that might have broken. Instead of breaking this broken stem off, I really want to salvage it. So I'm going to use some floral tape as a way to bring it back to life. You can use either of the tapes for this. You can use either the floral tape, which is the papery one, or the waterproof tape. So I'm just going to take my bent stem here, and I'm going to do my same taping right along that point where it's bent. And then I'm going to twist and pull. You don't need a lot of that, just enough at the breaking point so that it's no longer bent. And this one has a little bit of a droop here at the top. The stem has gotten a little bit bent. So I'm going to put another piece on. I'll show you how I use the waterproof tape. Again, this is a little bit more preference, which one you're more comfortable with. I am more comfortable with the papery floral tape, but either will work. So I'm just going to take this droopy bent stem and I'm going to put a little piece of waterproof tape here. So now you've got something that's a little sturdier and less broken. So the last trick that I use my floral tape for is to make things less slippery. I know that sounds strange, but we do a lot of wreath making here in my shop, and we use a lot of metal frames. And these metal frames are really slick and slippery. So when I try to wire my flowers on, the bunches will often slide down out of place. So what I'm going to do is use my floral tape to just wrap the piece where I'm going to have my bunches. And there's nothing to it. I'm just pulling it, wrapping it around. You can see here, just pulling it tight so it sticks to itself. And then what that's going to do is create a tacky surface for my bunches to get wired onto. Now when I wire them on, they're going to stay in place because they have that extra little bit of tackiness holding them down. So these are all my tricks for using floral tape in my designs. For just a few dollars, you can get these tools yourself and use them at home in your designs. If you enjoyed this video, like it on YouTube and subscribe to my free weekly newsletter all about flowers. The link is in the description.